Welcome to the Gear Garage Live Show. This weekly YouTube show covers whitewater rafting, river safety,
Oh God, I lost my paddle!
gear, and anything else Zach feels like rambling on about.
Welcome everyone to the Gear Garage Live Show. My name's Zach. I do this show almost every week where I answer questions and just talk about things I feel like talking about. This is also a podcast. So if you want to listen to this in your car or something, it's available as a podcast. Look it up. I think you search for Gear Garage Podcast, it shows up. But this is not intended as a podcast. This is meant as a live YouTube show. And so I'll do my best to enunciate better and speak better, but that's not my forte. I'm a very quick talker, and this is just really intended as a conversation that I have online with people who enjoy the show and want to ask questions. So if you have a question, please add in the comment section. If you have already submitted a question, I'm going to get to it. Here's our agenda for today. I quickly want to start by talking about the AW accident database. And this is just a good thing I like to check in with occasionally to see what the trends are with accidents. And this, when I say accidents, I'm generally sort of referring to as fatalities, like how are people dying on the river. And every spring, there are a lot more fatalities than normal. Things get really busy and there's trends. And I think it's important to look at these trends so that we can be thoughtful about what we're doing and realize what is causing accidents and killing people and maybe making decisions that will affect us. Because these fatalities are awful, like awful. They affect families, communities, work sites, and we're doing this thing that we love and we really shouldn't be dying doing it. And I think there's some key factors that are pretty easy for us to pay attention to that will help us be more responsible out there. So this is the database. I look at it every so often, and I just want to point out things that I think are easily the biggest factors, which are our behaviors. Before I even get into this, wear a PFD, don't drink, please don't boat by yourself, and be respectful of high water. That's it. You do those things. Don't drink and boat. Be respectful of high water. Don't boat alone. And what was the other one? I forgot what it was. We'll get to it here in a second, I'm sure, because we'll see it a lot. And did I say wear a PFD? Yeah, I don't know. There's four key things here. And there's trends that show up over and over and over. And I want to point out, a lot of people, I say, don't boat alone. And they're like, no, whatever, no big deal. It is a big deal. It really is. And there are a lot of accidents based on people boating alone because there's nobody there to help you. If you fall out, you may go for a long swim. And so if you just look at the data here, and I'm going to kind of go down quickly, the most recent one is a one boat trip, a fatality that happened 3 days ago. And if you go down here a little more, solo paddling, fatality June 1st, two fatalities June 1st from solo boating. Here's a failed rescue, which I haven't read that one, but sometimes it's lack of people. And then if you go down a little further, solo paddling May 18th. And those are the ones. And so of the last 20, 4 of them are solo paddling. Now, I'm not saying solo paddling caused the accident. And it may be the case that if there were people there, that the fatality might have still happened. But there's a lot of factors labeled one boat trip in this accident database. Also, you'll notice too, just a trend, that the most recent, and 2 of these are fatalities, are Colorado. There's an Alaska, and before that, the 3 before that. So 6 of the past 7 are Colorado, and 3 of those are solo boating. You can see cold water, high water. And so this time of year, especially in Colorado, rivers are cold, they're swift, they're high, and people are dying in high water. I didn't read all these things. These are just conjectures I'm making. But high water, cold water, it kills people. And so by avoiding rivers when they're high or when they're cold, or if they are cold, dressing appropriately, which means wetsuit, dry suit, and having a team around you that can help pull you in if you fall out, I just think it's so critical. I just want to go down to equipment trap, just point things out that I see. PFD not worn, and PFD not worn. Raft. I drew a lot of cotton, low head dams, low head dam. I mean, if we remove from all of this, if everybody here boats with other people, pays attention to high water, PFD fell off. That's not good. Boats with other people and avoids low head dams, we could maybe cut this list in half, which is significant. That's potentially 10 people that are still alive. And so I'm just gonna keep pounding like the value of this. A lot of people I saw on Mountain Buzzers this discussion about, when do we wear a PFD? Do we always have to wear one? Yeah, wear one. Why are we not wearing them? Like, you might feel safe by yourself on your class 2 water with class 1 water, but that sets an example for others that it's okay not to wear a PFD. And there starts to be creep. You don't wear it in class 2, you might stop wearing it in class 3, and there's no PFD creep within yourself and with others. So a lot to unpack here. I just like to remind myself that this list exists and just pay attention to things that are important for our safety when we're out there. Well, lots of comments. Here we go. I'll get into the comments. I'll be oaring a raft. I use the term rowing for the first time this weekend on the Rogue Wild and Scenic. I want to know how heavy can my 14-foot raft be before I can no longer fly. I don't know. I can't give you like, what, 1,000 pounds, 500 pounds. I don't know if you have experience flipping a boat. Depends how tall you are. You probably can't flip it over by yourself if there's overnight gear in there. That's just a guess. How heavy are you? How tall? These are some personal questions. Are you experienced flipping boats? Oh, he's asking. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Josh. We're asking the same thing. Like, we can't answer this question. I thought he's asking me those questions. I have no experience flipping boats. 5'10". Well, honestly, if you've never done it, you're probably not going to do it your first time. The Rogue is pretty flat, and so most of the time on the Rogue, when I say flat, it's pool drop. There's pools in between. You're probably not going to flip it like live in the current. You're probably going to get it to shore and have people help you. That's pretty typical on the Rogue. But that's something you should practice. Like, flipping a boat is something you should practice. If it happens to you unexpectedly, you don't have the muscle memory that just instant, I know what to do. You will be cold potentially, and you're going to freak out a little bit and be uncertain. Once you do like 3, 4, 5, 20, 100 practice flips, it becomes second nature. You flip, you jump back on it, you undo your flip line, you clip it on, you go. If you're doing little flip dangle earrings on the side of your boats and you don't practice, I don't think you have any luck. Friends had a rough trip in a powerhouse in late May 2024. Yeah, Sean, I don't check my email during the show, so that's a bummer. Maybe you sent to me already, but yeah, that's a bummer. My friend had a brutal arm fracture carrying a boat to the river a week ago. Jeez. Yeah, that's a river accident. I mean, technically, if you look at the AW accident database, it has injuries on here, and they'd like to add injuries. It usually gets the fatalities are what get the attention and what people report more commonly. But you could add as a river accident, and having that data here is super helpful. So I don't know if there's an email to submit here, but Charlie Walbridge is the one that does all this. Oh, here we go. Report an accident. Boom. Hit that, and you can fill it out right here. Yep. Ran my first trip on the Rogue last week. 3 people, 1 boat. Took the risk for a 1-boat trip because we were all experienced, fit, and healthy on a popular section, but it was in the back of my mind. Yeah. So 3 people in 1 boat, to me, is more dangerous than 2 people in 1 boat, which is more dangerous than 1 person in 1 boat. If you're in 1 boat and your boat flips or you have an accident, that's 3 potential victims and no rescuer. And so to me, this is super dangerous. Now, on the Rogue, there's people around. It's not, there's generally people around. And the Rogue is pull a drop. So generally, if you flip, you just swim to shore at the bottom. But I wouldn't take that same, like, oh, I did it on the Rogue, I should do it on the Middle Fork attitude, because the Middle Fork's more continuous. If you flip, you may not swim to shore, or the Upper Klickitat, or the White Salmon. So just because it worked for you on the Rogue, because it's pull a drop and there's people around, doesn't mean that's going to work for you all over the place. And it's a risk. And you say right here, I took the risk. You understand the risk, hopefully, and you have a responsibility to tell the people in your boat the risk too. You took the risk. Did the 2 people in their boat know? that if they were to flip on this trip or have fall out, that there potentially is no one there to save them. And that's, you have a duty to inform them, I think, as a person rowing, because they don't understand that risk. Okay, we have a lot to do today. I'm going to keep moving along. And I want to talk about our sponsor, GoRafting.com. I've pumped them up quite a bit, but I'm pretty jazzed on them. And I want to just bring up their website one more time. For those of you that don't know, GoRafting.com makes phone-based app maps for rivers, river guides for your phone. And a lot of people say, no, I don't have my phone in the river because I don't want to be looking at it the whole time. Cool. I don't know. Don't then. But there's a lot of value to having maps in your phone. One of them is it knows where you are according to the map and tells you how far it is to the next thing. Like Blossom Bar, 1.2 miles away. Super nice information to have. The camp we want, half a mile away. Awesome information to have. And so if you have a paper map, you're guessing where you are. If you're using their maps, you know where you're at, and you can make some good decisions. On the Middle Fork this summer, the camps aren't going to be assigned, it sounds like, or partially assigned, or some weird thing's going to happen. And knowing where the camps are is going to be super helpful when camps aren't assigned. So I would highly recommend these. I used it on the Grand Canyon. I loved it. They just added a couple maps to this. They added the John Day and one more. But the John Day is a big one. And to me, it says they're continuing to invest in these maps. And these are something that we should be purchasing as people who don't mind having phones and like to have maps. I want to point out one thing. I think this is an absolute steal. This Whitewater Classics bundle, you get all of their guides. You pay $60 and you get, as they update, you get them updated for $60. This is all of them. Like the Grand Canyon is $25. The Middle Fork is $20. Those two are $55. They're giving you all of them for $60. They should not do this. I told them this is like not smart of them. You're getting all these guides, the Rogue, the Foo, which you probably won't use the Foo, but it's cute to have. The Upper Klamath. I did the Illinois one, the Tats and Sheeny, a lot of these day trips you'll probably never use. Maybe you will, who knows? This is really valuable for overnight trips. The Tuolumne, Lador, John Day, the one they just did, that one's like $12. Middle Fork American, if you ever did do that, it'd be kind of nice to have because there's a long flat water section. You want to know the end. And they'll keep adding them. So for $60 is a steal. They're going to stop doing this. They have to. It's not smart of them to do this like Whitewater Classics bundle. So anyway, think about downloading it. It uses the Far Out app and you buy their maps to work with the Far Out app. I'm pretty sure that Far Out app is free, but the maps are not free. So that's our sponsor. Thank you, GoRafting.com, for sponsoring us. And this is probably the last time I'm going to advertise them for the summer because trips are coming to it. And, people are doing their trips now. They've already bought their maps. But, oh yeah, one more thing I want to mention is with the Middle Fork specifically, let's go to Idaho. The Middle Fork is changing. So if you have last year's Matt Leidecker map on paper, it's a great map. And I love that map. But the river is now different. The rapids are different. And they've updated their description here to say, at Hills Half Mile, it's going to change. At Vela Falls, it's changed. And so, and as they get more information, as we figure out what these rapids are going to do, they will update this map. And so when you buy a paper map, the paper map's set. It's set. But when the rivers change, if you buy it through an app, they update the data on the app and you have the updated maps forever. So for $60, you have updated maps of all these rivers forever. Honestly, it's insane. And it's so cheap. But anyway, that's the last time I'm going to push this probably for a while because it's whatever. Yeah, there we go. We have a Type 2 Adventures is saying, go rafting through Far Out app was amazing on the Rogue. Wait, yeah, you just did the Rogue. Yeah, it's where the camps are. That's a big thing. Like, oh, the camp we want or a 10-person camp is there. I'll just go to that 10-person camp instead of choosing the same camp everybody else is trying to get to. It really is a sweet way to go. Okay, next thing on our agenda is River Hardware. This is my fun little retail store project I've really been digging lately. Just want to promote it one more time here for a minute and just say our shipping department is going to be gone for 2 weeks starting Thursday. So if you've thought about buying anything from the app, I'd highly recommend doing it today or tomorrow morning. The big thing I'm working on is flip lines, and I sold these Palm Cobra slings fast. I had 40 of them, and they went, I think, in a month or less than a month. So recognizing there's a lot of demand for these, I'm working on sourcing these on my own and finding a Dyneema material that I can make these out of, and a little bit wider. And so know that long term, I'm working on a flip line that we can sell for people that like flip lines. But I still have these palm snake slings available, thicker, a little beefier, easier to work with in the hands because it's thicker, but more to carry in the PFD. But anyway, just giving you all heads up. If you want to buy something through River Hardware, do it today or tomorrow morning, because the store's shipping will take a while if you order it after then. Okay, next on the agenda, are we there to questions? Let's get to questions. All right. So as you all know, this is a Q&A show. Let's get to the first one. I have convertible Oarlocks that when flipped to feather spinning mode seem to create so much friction against my tuned Cobra Oarlocks with each feathered oar stroke that I no longer attempt oar feathering. Okay. I mean, the problem is probably the Cobras. The Cobra Oarlocks, it's a cool name, Cobra. They cost more, so people think they're better, but they're not. They have too much range of motion. And so you'll see on my store, and one thing about River Hardware, I'm going to promote it again, is I just sell the stuff I believe in and recommend. I'm not, if you buy something on here and don't like it, that could be the case. But this is the good stuff. And if you go to Oar Accessories, I sell the A-Lock. I sell used Cobras because I have a bunch of garbage ones. I probably shouldn't sell them because I don't believe in them. I shouldn't sell them probably. I should probably take this off. But I have so many used ones that I don't like. I have a bunch for sale. And the Black Mambas. I call them the Black Mambas. Sawyer calls them the Cobra. There's another company that might start making a competitor Oarlock. They might call them the Black Mambas. We'll see what happens. But I would recommend the Black Mambas or the A. The A is classic. You can't go wrong with the A. A is a great Oarlock. That's what we use almost exclusively for our trips. But the Black, if you want an upgrade, go with the Black Mamba. It's a sweet Oarlock. But I think the issue here is probably the Cobras. They're not designed to. They're designed to work with cute little lightweight fish, like drift boat fishing boats, and they have too much range of motion. Okay. Do you have any creative ideas other than widening the space between the Oarlock horns that could lessen the friction enough so that my oars spin freely enough to allow for easy feathering when the oar right is flipped to? Yeah, I would get different Oarlocks. That's my best guess. And without knowing everything, I mean, maybe you're having bad luck, but we use the A-Locks and the Black Mambas, and they both work great with them. I'm pretty sure this is a Cobra thing. Right, here's a little question. Do you know if the pump adapter works in the Ryobi one? I meant to try it in March, but forgot. If the pump adapter. So Abelia, let's see. Let's go back to here. This is, if you go to the pump adapter, there is one made for Ryobi right there. So this one's specifically designed to work with the Ryobi P755 blower. Yeah. If you want one, Abelia, order it soon because the shipping department's about to close here real quick. And it'll be a couple of weeks. Okay, back to questions. Blower adapter. Okay, here, same question, kind of. I just received the leaf field adapter for my Milwaukee 18-volt blower and wanted to pass along my initial thoughts. This episode is turning into a River Hardware sales fest, which is fine with me because I love the store. So I'm sorry if those of you think this is one big commercial, but hopefully it's not. Okay, I keep my new wing surge on the trailer. So wing surge, for those of you who don't know, is a 16-foot wing that is sick. It's the boat I rode down the Illinois All Spring. I designed it, so I'm pretty stoked on the geometry. It's an amazing boat. And never deflate it totally. Yes, if you can, that's one thing. If you can never deflate your wings, that's good. My need for the blower and adapter is simply to put enough air in the boat going from, say, bend down to the rogue, or from 3,600 to 800 feet to maintain some shape in the boats as if elevation drops. This is a long question. As an initial test of the capability, I partially aired down 2 compartments and got them back up to about 3/4 pound pretty quickly. That was enough to get some shape in the tubes and probably be sufficient for my purposes. I have no expectations of the blower being able to top the raft up to 2.5 pounds. That's the K-pump jobs. Yeah, these blowers are just to get volume in the boat and use a pump to top them off. These are just like, you can buy just a K-pump and pump the whole boat up with a K-pump. That's something you can do. But if you don't want to pump it, if you want to get the volume in with the machine, that's what these blowers are for. Okay, I just want to see if this is typical, or if I kept it out longer, would the blower be able to get even more air in the boat? No, I mean, these are low pressure. These are low pressure pumps. They once it hits a pressure, they can't go above that. So you can keep blowing, but it's going to be at equilibrium. It's not going to keep blowing in the boat. What are your expectations for these 18-volt blowers? My expectation is that it gets air in the boat. Yeah, I don't know what that pressure is, but my expectation is that it blows it up so that I don't have to do it all by hand. Chris at Wing told me they use GoPrega inflators from Italy in the shop. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Wing has some pretty high-tech stuff. I don't know what a Scoprega inflator is, but I mean, that sounds pretty cool. Let's Google that. Scoprega inflators, Italy. Let's see what comes up. Scoprega. Oh, I bet it's they do it for bikes. I bet this is because it's Italian. Oh, geez, what are we doing? Yeah, these are probably pretty awesome. Electric pump for tents and inflatable structures. Yeah, I bet this is pretty amazing. Wow, yeah, it's a little less portable. You can't just hold it in your hand. And I don't know what it costs. It's, Italian pump is probably very expensive. Okay, anyway, let's get back to the question. But they're more expensive, heavier, and bulkier. Yeah. You like the hand pumps I have are like throw in the back of your truck, get to put in, blow it up. It's in the back of your truck, or you can deflate your boats. It's just a super handy thing. It's like a squirt gun that shoots air. It's not a big box or some wheelie thing you have to hook up to your car battery. You just put a battery on it and you go. Okay. On the other hand, they do have several models that are portable and might be viable alternatives if they can inflate up closer to normal operating pressures. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, sure. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are, yeah, these handheld pumps that cost $100 or whatever, they are limited to pressure. They get the volume in the boat, so you don't have to sit there with a K pump and go psh, 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 for 20 minutes, or get a bigger pump that goes for 10 minutes. That's all they're doing, is saving you work. But to get the final pressure in your boat, you need a high volume pump. The hand pumps, they're $110. They're not high volume pumps. Whatever they are. I think the Makita one's $150. I don't know what they are. This Scoprega thing, the price isn't even on there. Like, that's not even on there. That's insane. I don't know. Let me see if I can Google. Let me see if I can find how much that thing costs. I'm just guessing it's, I don't know, $400. But if you want to have a pump that pumps full pressure and you want to spend $500 on a thing that's less portable, awesome. Like, that sounds, that's your choice. Those are my thoughts. Okay. Air rafts. What is the maintenance like on airboats? Is it time consuming getting water out of the floor after each use? Are they more prone to mold? How compact can you pack them compared to a Sotar, Moravia, and high side? Okay, the audience, if you out there can answer some of these questions, I'd appreciate it, because I'm going to tell my opinions. I own some airs. I've used airs a lot. I'm not, but I'm not an air fanboy. Like, I see the value of them, but I see some disadvantages too. I think, this is my opinion, that the maintenance on airboats is more than other boats. I think it's more. I don't know what that means. I mean, they have zippers, they have 2 layers. Yeah, we have an airboat that has a bunch of water inside the tube. I have no idea how it got there. I'm not sure if that's air's fault or our fault, but I have some airboats with a bunch of water in the tubes. I haven't taken time to get out yet. Is it time consuming getting the water out of the floor after each use? It just takes like a few minutes of holding the boat vertical, and most of it comes out, but then there's still some in there. It's still wet. And then I usually leave mine out like in the sun for a day or something if I want to get it all out. So it's, it can be a pain. I just had this happen. I just rolled a boat for the summer. We're not going to use it. I let it sit out just in the sun for 4 days and just hopefully evaporate all the water. I have no idea if it's gone. I hope it is. I have no idea. Are they more prone to mold? I would assume so, but I've rarely seen them moldy. I've usually seen hypalon boats get moldy. So I would, my thinking is that they would, but I don't even know. These are great questions for air. How compact can you pack them compared to Moravia or high side? They're probably the best. I just rolled one 3 days ago. They roll amazing. I'm pretty sure they're better than both. Moravias don't roll well. If you need to roll your boat a lot, I would not get a Moravia. High side is Hypalon. I think it's Hypalon. Most of them are Hypalon. It rolls great. It's a good rolling boat. I think the air is slightly better. I love rolling airboats. It's smooth. It feels good. So if anybody has any more thoughts about that, please put them in the comments. That's my best guess. And that's just me owning some airs, using them, and my experience. Some people that own airs will tell you that there's no maintenance. The water magically disappears. They don't mold. Yeah, they're perfect. So I don't even know. Here we go. Abelia. They roll better. Yeah, they definitely roll better than Sotar Moravia. Hands. Sotar Moravia and Wing don't roll great. Yeah, but you can roll them pretty small. They roll beautifully. Thanks, Abelia. Okay, next I want to finish up today's show by just talking about the Middle Fork, because it's now June 11th. We know some stuff. Like, I've been really hesitant to share any knowledge of what's happening on the Middle Fork because honestly, we don't know. It's just like we've been waiting for this moment when, let's look at the flow here, when the flow has peaked and a little bit of time has passed. Before, like a couple days ago, I didn't know what was going on because I didn't know that we were done with the peak, and I didn't know that the flow is dropping, and people haven't come back and given us information. Now we know the peak has happened, it's on a decline, and several people have come back and shared photos and said, "Hey, here's what it looks like." And so, it now being June 11th, I can share my opinions, which I want to be clear. I've been hesitant. I get tons of calls and emails and text messages. I get woofed all the time. What's the Middle Fork? And I'm like, I don't know. And I still don't really know for sure, but I have a good sense. I'm going to tell you what that is. It seems like the most dangerous part is Hell's Half Mile. And that there's a lot of wood in there that's kind of dangerous. And so when we run it, we're going to go next week. We're going to run from Boundary with our guests. We're probably going to walk all of our guests around Hell's Half Mile just to err on the side of caution. And we'll see when we get there. We'll talk to people. I'll get more beta, but we'll probably get above Hell's Half Mile, have everybody walk out, slowly scout Hell's Half Mile, run it. It looks like it's a class 3+ move from what I can tell, with consequences, which makes it class 4, even class 5. It's a class 3+ move that you can't really mess up. You don't want to mess up. But it looks pretty straightforward. And it's a pull. You really want to get left. You're not going to do, maybe somebody who's like buffed out, Hulk Hogan could push this raft over there. But this is a move you do on a pretty aggressive pull, not a ferry over pull, but like maybe 90 degrees to the current or even downstream ferry. You pull to the left and you get left. Now, I'm just giving my advice based on what I see. I could be wrong. But those of you that just push, I don't think it's going to work. Okay, so you just get left and it looks fine. Velvet looks like it's pretty straightforward. Maybe there's a hole or two in there. Most of the dangerous wood is gone. It doesn't look like a big deal. And it sounds like there was a log in Powerhouse that's gotten better. So things seem doable. I think now as the water drops, we're going to have all kinds of sharp rocks, shallow rocks, and we're going to start popping boats. And so my general advice for people that want to launch from Boundary is scout. Consider walking people around. You don't need to have them in your boats when there's wood around. And be prepared for some tears, because there's going to be all this brand new fresh rock popping up and getting boats. And my guess is in a week or two, when the water drops some more, we're going to have like this. We're going to go through this like boats are popping left and right phase. And so please I would bring tons of tear aid. I would bring glue and patch material, learn how to patch a boat, because I feel like that's the next step in this whole journey. But the water's probably not going to come in. The wood that's there is probably there. More wood probably isn't going to come down. There are paths through the rapids for somebody who has like competent boating skills. If you're just a pusher, if you just, run the same class 3 river over and over and over in your life, it doesn't make you a class 3 boater. If you just do the rogue, that's all you do, you're not a class 3 boater. You're a rogue boater. If you push your way down the rogue, don't bring those skills to the Middle Fork. You will get destroyed. If you just do the South Fork of the American, don't bring those just South Fork of the American skills to the Middle Fork. You want to have skills where you like maybe row the Tuolumne, maybe do the Selway sometimes. Go do day trips in a variety of places with a variety of water levels. You want to bring a solid skill set to these rapids if you're going to do them. So that's my advice. Looks like the water's going to drop out pretty quick. By the 21st, we're going to be down to sub 3 feet potentially, according to this forecast. This forecast for a while had a second peak happening here sometime in here, and then that second peak didn't come through. There just wasn't enough snow. So this forecast was wrong. It showed a peak coming up here on like the 3rd, I think, or 4th, and it showed another peak coming on the 7th and 8th, and that peak never materialized. And I just want to point out these forecasts are wrong all the time. They're a good guess. They're like an idea of what might happen, but they're not super accurate. And I think we found that here. So those are my thoughts about the Middle Fork coming up. Please, everybody out there, be safe. That wood in Hillside Mile is pretty serious, and we'd love there not to be any accidents this year or stuck boats. I mean, a boat pinned up on the rocks that's just there for 3 months would be kind of painful. So, yeah. Well, I think that's the end of the show. I want to thank Douglas Carl for becoming a member. You can become a member by paying a couple bucks a month, support the show. That allows us to buy things that we use to review on the show. So if you want to be a member, cool. If you don't, not a big deal. Whenever I get video of like accidents or stuff that's a little like not for public consumption, I throw it up to just members. Like there's things there that like the world doesn't need to see because it might be embarrassing somebody. It might be embarrassing me. It might be a rescue where something didn't quite go to plan, or it might be a rescue where things did go to plan that I don't want to put on the regular page. That's the members get that stuff. It's not that often. Maybe I do that like once every 2 months, but that's where some of the bonus material is. So thank you, Douglas, for becoming a member. And yeah, that's it for this episode. We'll see you all on the next episode, which will hopefully be next week. We'll see.